My name is Oleksy. I'm 24 years old. I'm an entrepreneur and business owner. I own 2 businesses that I run out of a warehouse. I've been living in an RV for almost 2 years, and I'm $90,000 in business debt. But the crazy part about all of this is that just 5 years ago, I thought that I was going to be playing professional hockey. So to explain how I ended up here, we have to go all the way back to when I was a kid. I was born on November 19th, 2001, and when I was just 3 years old, my mother took me down the road to the new ice rink that was being built to play hockey for the first time. From that moment on, hockey took over my entire life. I grew up in rural Illinois, about an hour west of Chicago, not completely in the middle of nowhere, but in the country enough to where life just felt pretty simple. It was school, hockey, home, repeat. That was my entire world growing up. And for most of my childhood, hockey was my entire identity. It was everything to me. It was literally what I thought I was gonna build my entire future around. But when I was just 12 years old, something else completely different entered my life. I had found YouTube. At the time, and some of you guys will remember this guy, but I used to watch a creator named Syndicate, and I watched everything he did, from Call of Duty to Minecraft to his vlogs. I was an addict of his content. And something about seeing somebody build something out of nothing, just using a camera and themselves, was something that pulled me in deeper than just being a viewer. So when I was 12 years old, I propped my iPad up on a stand and I recorded myself playing Call of Duty, Minecraft, Clash of Clans, different video games. And that's when I started my YouTube journey. And I absolutely loved it. It felt exciting, it felt fun, it felt creative, it felt something that was mine and that I had made. I did that for many years. Between playing hockey and making YouTube videos, that was all that I had ever done. But once high school started, everything changed. By freshman year of high school, I was 14 years old and I had about 4,000 subscribers. I had just gained 500 subscribers within the last month, and I really felt like something was snowballing and I was building something big. But in school, it became the opposite. Everywhere I went, people knew about it. They called me by my YouTube name, they made fun of it, they goofed around about me. I got pushed out of friend groups, people didn't want to be around me. And at that age, girls are important and girls didn't want to talk to me. They wanted to stay as far away from me as possible. And most people didn't take me seriously. The craziest part is I didn't even talk about YouTube in school. I literally kept it away from everybody. I didn't want anybody to know I did it. I kept it completely separate from my real life. But somehow, no matter what I did, it always followed me. So that led me to learn something really early on in this entire journey. And that was just simply the fact that the things that felt the most natural to me were the things that people would judge me the most harshly for. So eventually, I just started completely hiding that aspect of my life. At the same time that I did YouTube, I also started exploring with making music, and that was also something I really grew fond of. But just like YouTube, I would face the same repercussions in public with my music. So I completely hid that part of my life, and that's when I started to fail at consistently uploading on YouTube. I was a YouTuber that would post 3 to 4 videos a day, and I pulled back from YouTube, posting maybe once every couple of months, and saying that I was just gonna focus on hockey instead. Because at the end of the day, hockey was something that wasn't ridiculed, it was supported. And so that's exactly what I did. I started focusing on hockey and left my YouTube dream in the back. Throughout high school, hockey became, again, the only thing that I cared about in my entire life. I left home at just 16 years old to play hockey in different states around the country. I lived with billet families that would house me while I was staying out in states like Iowa or South Dakota or here in Illinois. And I traveled constantly chasing this dream of hockey in and out of the country and out of different states, just chasing the dream of becoming the player that I always wanted to be. Unlike most athletes, I actually kept my school very seriously, and this was due to my parents. They really wanted me to stay focused in school. I wound up keeping a 4.0 GPA, 5.8 weighted, taking college courses throughout my entire high school experiences while bouncing in and out of 4 different high schools. I stayed completely disciplined with school at the same time as staying disciplined with hockey. But still, the creative edge never really left me. I always had it. Every once in a while throughout this whole time, I would upload a little video here, a little video there. I'd make music, upload a song here, do that, just because that creative energy just kept digging at me. I was just experimenting with anything that I liked, anything that I wanted to create. Why? Because I enjoyed it, not because I wanted to show anybody anything or to prove anything to anyone, but just because I really did like it. And I thought that as I got older, maybe people would leave me alone for it, but I was wrong and it only got worse. Throughout all of high school, I was basically living two completely different lives. One side of me was the good athlete and the good student, and the other side of things was the kid that loved to create things online. But at the same time, I felt like I had to hide that part of my life from everyone. Then senior year came. My senior year was the year of 2020. And right when everything was supposed to be wrapping up for the senior year, COVID hit us. Our school shut down. We didn't get a prom, our graduation barely happened. Everything just kind of ended abruptly. And suddenly, I had to decide what was I gonna do with my life. I had the options. I could go to college, I could go to work, I could continue playing hockey, and I chose playing hockey. I went to go play junior hockey in the state of New Hampshire. And for people who don't know hockey, junior hockey is basically where players go to get recruited to play higher level hockey like Division I college, or even go straight to the pros from playing junior hockey. Most of the NHL hockey players in the world came from junior hockey. It's a stage of hockey where a lot of careers either take off or completely end. So I packed my life up and I moved to New Hampshire during COVID to chase the dream that I had pretty much built my entire childhood around. But that season was complete chaos. Games were constantly getting canceled, teams were constantly getting shut down, the league was in shambles, everything was just very unstable. And then I got hurt on top of it. And then while I was hurt, I also got COVID. And during this time, the league gave players the option to move to a bubble in Florida and to continue the rest of the season. But unfortunately, the cost was $6,000, and that was money I didn't have. So that was basically the moment that my hockey career came to an end. Not in some really drastic, dramatic way, but just slowly through injuries, through bad timing, through money situation, and it was just all over. Everything that I had dreamt my entire life around and built my whole life around just completely ended for me within the snap of a finger. And so when hockey ended, I felt like I lost the identity that I had carried my entire life. And with hockey being done, I moved back home at 20 years old, and I finally figured that I had the time now to take YouTube completely seriously. I was out of school, so the chances of being ridiculed in public really wasn't a thing. And I had nothing else to do, so I thought I'd take YouTube serious again. I started making a lot of product review videos, affiliate marketing videos, like 24-hour challenge videos where I would try to see how much money I can make starting a dropshipping store. And this time, it actually worked. With a channel that just had a little over 5,000 subscribers, I had managed to make $100,000 in a single year. And so for the first time in my life, I thought that maybe I wasn't crazy. And my parents actually thought that maybe I wasn't that crazy either. But they didn't think that it was gonna last forever. But I thought that maybe I could actually build something around this. I thought I had done it. And I was living every person's dream, making YouTube videos and making a ton of money doing it. And then at that same time, I was making music, and my music started to gain traction too. It felt like all the stars were aligning for me. Getting tens of thousands of views on my music, and then I was getting hundreds of thousands of views on some of my YouTube videos, and I felt like we're really headed towards something good here. But then life really pulled me in a different direction. My parents wanted me to go to college. This is deep rooted in the fact that my brother went to an Ivy League college, got a full ride, got magna cum laude, and then went to medical school and is now a doctor, an anesthesiologist. And so that whole idea that one son would go on to do all that and the other one would sit in the basement making YouTube videos didn't fly so hot with my family. So they wanted me to go to college. Mainly my mom. My dad, more or less, he was okay with me just working a job. But nonetheless, nobody wanted me to sit in the basement and make YouTube videos. So I applied to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and I got in. Again, to no surprise, because due to my dedication that I had to athletics, but also academics, they were willing to let me in, no problem. I chose to just go into like business marketing because I really had no idea what I wanted to do, and I just picked something. Truth is, I didn't care about school. I was happy doing what I was doing, and I didn't want to go to school at all. I didn't want a corporate path. I didn't want a normal job. I didn't want to work 9 to 5, but I went anyway. I was just pushed in that direction, and I went. And when I got there, the same feelings started coming back again. I was judged, I was watched. The entire campus of 40,000 students somehow miraculously found out about my YouTube channel and my music. I did feel like the things that made me unique, like my music and my YouTube channel and that creative aspect of me, needed to be hidden in order for me to fit in with the college life. So I, again, just completely stopped posting videos. I completely stopped posting any of my music. I started trying to live a normal college life, going out, partying, meeting friends, hanging out at the bars, just being a college student. And eventually I got to a point where I said to myself, do I want to do this for the next 4 years, or do I really want to build something of myself? And that's when things took another turn. I had discovered the world of pressure washing. I started watching tons of pressure washing content, doing a ton of research, watching hours of content every day, learning about what it's like to own a business and run one. And then I just became completely obsessed with the idea of starting a business. After my freshman year, I decided I would completely drop out of college. I went home with this idea, and my parents were iffy about it, but my dad got on board and he helped me build my very first pressure washing rig, which was a trailer that I would tow behind my truck. And instead of starting the business here in Illinois at my parents' house, I decided that I would pick up and move to a different state to chase the best chances of making this business successful. So I drove nearly 6,000 miles in my 2003 Chevy Silverado pickup truck with my girlfriend at the time, Rachel, which is still my girlfriend today. And I was looking and scouting out the best place for me to start my business. And then I eventually chose Chattanooga, Tennessee. So at 20 years old, I moved 13 hours away from my home with nobody, just me and the stuff that I owned, into a house that I rented with a dream of chasing a business that I knew nothing about. But for the first time, I was gonna bet on myself for real. And the business failed, like right away, really quickly. Within about 5 months, I had burned through everything, all my cash reserves, and the banks were knocking at my door wondering, where the hell is their money? I didn't understand marketing. I didn't know how to get customers. I didn't even know how to run a business at all, or even do the work. I literally set myself up for disaster the day that I went there. And that's how I lost everything that I had saved my entire life, was that experience. So I came back home completely broke and in $20,000 to $30,000 of debt. And to dig myself out of this hole, I went back to construction work, where I worked brutal hours, 80 to 100-hour work weeks, just to pay off the debt that I accumulated. But even after failing that badly, I couldn't let go of the dream. So the day that I had paid back all my debts, I told the guys at the construction company that I'm gonna go and try again. And this time, I started the pressure washing company here in Illinois. And this time, it worked. I got customers, I got momentum, I rented a shop, I bought trucks, I hired employees, and I finally saw things going in the right direction. Like, boom, this is how things were supposed to go when I had moved to Chattanooga. So for the first time since I started, I felt like I was actually building the company that I had dreamed of. But what I didn't understand yet was how difficult building a business became when you're really young, undercapitalized, and carrying everything by yourself. Employees failed, winter destroyed momentum, I got hit with a lawsuit. The overhead just started stacking up out of nowhere. Wound up literally buying a small RV so that I can live at the business, because I couldn't even justify the time of going from the business back to my parents' house. Too much wasted time. And I didn't even have that much time to take to myself. That's when I started realizing that I wanted to chase something bigger. I didn't want to just run a service-based business that would require me to be there 24/7 forever. I wanted to build a business that gave me freedom, that gave me a life that I wanted to have. I started thinking that I could build products and do manufacturing instead. So I started developing other businesses like Titan Materials, Titan Grip, Titan Industrial, Oleksy Supply. I started trying to create these businesses at the same time of keeping Oleksy Services going as my income driver. Every new idea came from the same exact place in my heart. I didn't want to just survive. I wanted to build something, and build something massive. But then I started to find that every single idea that I came up with came with more inventory, more risk, more money, more overhead, and officially more debt. I wound up bringing a partner into Oleksy Services in the beginning of 2025 in hopes that it would help turn it into a more reliable and steady business. And it did, for a while. But over time, as I started building these other companies at the same time as Oleksy Services, things started to get a little bit too chaotic. Over time, things got a lot more complicated, the stress piled up on my shoulders, and just more responsibility just kept piling up. That's how I got to where I am today. Not just from one bad decision or one big mistake, and not from one lucky break either. I got here from years and years of trying to build something and make something of myself. trying things, failing, trying again, carrying every single mistake and failure into the next chapter. And so now that's where I am. I'm 24 years old. I run two businesses, Oleksy Services, which is an exterior cleaning and maintenance company, and Titan Industrial, which is a industrial supply company. I'm deep in debt. $75,000 on credit cards, roughly $20,000 in loans, and an RV, which is like $68,000 that I literally bought to live in full time and run my business out of because I wanted to save money on rent. And now I'm trying to dig myself out of this hole in real time. That's what this channel is, and that's what you guys are watching right now. This is not a fake success story told from the top. This isn't me selling you guys a course to learn how to do what I've done. No, this is me unwinding my life and showing you guys how I got here, and now this is gonna be the documentary of how the hell I get out of here. This channel is a true testament to what it's like to be in the dirty middle of being a business owner. When you're completely buried in pressure, you're trying to hold everything together, you're up to your neck in debt and pressure and stress, and you're just trying to do everything you can to make something work before you run out of time. And whether this all works or it completely fails, you guys are gonna see all of it. Because this time, I'm not hiding myself anymore.